So the Quaker-inspired system of bringing prisoners towards spiritual reflection and change, called the separate system, was first made manifest at Eastern State Penitentiary. It was famously built in the Panopticon hub and spoke plan, although it didn't fully follow that plan, favoring favoring seclusion over surveillance. They took the design to its extreme by building little slots in the cell doors to sort of give prisoners their food, or installing toilets in each cell, and keeping hoods on prisoners, reducing human contact altogether. Now, aligned with the architecture of correctional facilities is that of Embryville State Hospital in Pennsylvania, not far from where I grew up. It was built in 1938 and closed in 1980, 2 years before I was born. And as a young Boy Scout, my patrol used to have meetings in the basement of one of these these buildings. It's where I received this badge. And not long ago, I went to an almost indistinguishable site called Harlem Valley State Hospital in upstate New York, along Route 22. And it was here that an Austrian psychiatrist first introduced the process of insulin shock therapy, which was soon replaced by electroshock therapy, but both of them treated schizophrenics. Now, having been raised Quaker as like James Turrell, I participated in several mock weddings, one in which I was the groom. Now, these weddings were held every year at the annual Arts and Crafts Fall Festival at the Downingtown Friends meeting. And it was here that several years before I was falsely married, that Ian Colop and I, we bought a framed set of old tobacco products from one of the craft vendors that contained old matches from the 1920s and a small booklet that laid out the product and a pack of old cigarettes. And we broke the glass, and we took the cigarettes out, and we smoked the entire pack behind the wall that surrounds the cemetery next to the schoolhouse. And this is the current state of the wall, apparently, sort of building a new wall. Now, it's important because several years later I became a full-time smoker, buying packs of Marlboro Reds from Eric Ledgerwood's mom, and who lived in this house, or buying packs of Parliament 100s from Dave Vada. And I remember covering the filters with Scotch tape, and so they'd be stronger, because there were holes in the filters. This is a picture of the house where Dave Vada doesn't live anymore. Now, on my return from this trip out to the suburbs, I decided to stop in Fairmount Park at the Smith Memorial Arch, which was built for the centennial celebration of 1876, which was a large World's Fair that contained almost 200 other buildings were constructed for the event in particular. Now, this site was built for the Civil War and naval heroes, and one sort of characteristic of this piece of architecture is the concrete benches below.
Okay, I'm going to show you how this works. So this is the Whispering Wall. The Smith Memorial Arch. My mom showed me this. She grew up not far from here. Now the area's a little run down, just with residential neighborhoods.
The area's a little run down nowadays. It's snowing that day. Now, before the British physicist Sir Robert Watson Watt developed what would become radar, the British military built these sound mirrors in Denge that were constructed to detect oncoming air traffic over the Atlantic. And almost immediately after they were built, they became obsolete due to the increased speed of aircraft design. Now, the other buildings that were included in the centennial celebration were various. This is the women's pavilion, and this is the Illinois pavilion, where visitors got their exhibition catalogs. And this building was moved eventually to it became the Stratford train station, where my dad grew up almost a mile from this train station in particular. And he owned a landscaping business in the area that was comprised of a fleet of old pickup jalopies and a dump truck with a sort of makeshift bed that was retrofitted every fall to withstand his unpredictable leaf blower. And so some of the products that were first introduced to the public at the centennial celebration were include Alexander Graham Bell's telephone, the typewriter, and Heinz ketchup. One of my one of the exhibits that really stands out to me is Mrs. Maxwell's Museum of Flora and Fauna of the Colorado Rocky region. Now, Martha Maxwell had sort of taken the duty upon herself to capturing and ostensibly killing all of the species of the Colorado Rocky region to create a comprehensive archive, a collection of the entire sort of the region's flora and fauna. She was a professional taxidermist, and she had her own exhibition at the centennial celebration. Now, luckily, we have Martha herself to
Yes, I was in the midst of all that. I didn't get to leave the exhibit very much. Thousands of people lined up every day to see my Rocky Mountain hillside and the over 250 animals and birds that I had brought with me. They were interested in the display, but they also wanted to know about me, this Rocky Mountain Colorado huntress, as they called me. Was she an Indian? Was she a half-breed? An Amazon? Did she live in a cave? Or worse yet, was she someone so thirsty for notoriety that she would take up deadly weapons and go on a rampage against the animal kingdom?
So, a popular method of exhibiting Martha Maxwell's activities was through stereoscopic photographs. So you can put on your 3D anaglyph glasses, and we can sort of take a look at this. Stereograms present three-dimensional views of their subjects by placing two photographs side by side and employing a stereoscope to view the images. Stereoscopes work the way the vision works. Since our two eyes are positioned about 2 inches apart, we see everything from two slightly different angles, which our brain then processes into a single picture that has spatial depth and dimension. Anaglyphs are stereoscopic images meant to produce three-dimensional effects with the aid of colored lenses that manipulate what is seen in each individual eye. Usually the main subject is in the center, while the foreground and background are shifted laterally in opposite directions. When viewed through the color-coded anaglyph glasses, they reveal an integrated stereoscopic image. The visual cortex of the brain fuses this into a perception of a three-dimensional scene or composition. Video games, theatrical films, and DVDs can be shown in the anaglyph 3D process. Practical images for science or design where depth perception is useful include the presentation of full-scale and microscopic stereographic images. Examples from NASA include Mars rover imaging and the solar investigation called STEREO, which uses 2 orbital vehicles to obtain the 3D images of the Sun. Other applications include geological illustrations by the USGS and various online museum objects. A recent application is for stereo imaging of the heart using 3D ultrasound with plastic red cyan glasses. Viewing anaglyphs through appropriately colored glasses results in each eye seeing a slightly different picture. In a red-blue anaglyph, for instance, the eye covered by the red filter sees the red parts of the image as white, and the blue parts as black, with the brain providing some adaptation for color. The eye covered by the blue filter perceives the opposite effect. True white or true black areas are perceived the same by each eye. The brain blends together the image it receives from each eye and interprets the differences as being a result of different distances. This creates a normal stereograph image without requiring the viewer to cross his or her eyes. Now, among the collection of 3D stereo photos that was donated to the University of California, Riverside, is this picture of Ishtar Gate, which, reminded me of the Jersey Devil, also known as the Leeds Devil, which has been known to occupy the Pine Barren region of New Jersey. Now, one of the famous sightings of this creature is by Joseph Bonaparte, the eldest brother of Napoleon. Now, he apparently saw this creature on his property in Bordentown, New Jersey. Now, a similar regional phenomenon is that of the Devil's Footprints, which is a line of cloven hoof prints after a light snowfall in Devon, England in 1855 that extended for over 100 miles in a perfectly straight line over houses and high walls, etc. Now, this is a picture of something called the Peutinger map, which was, the Romans were known for their straight roads, and this is maybe the only map that lays out the entire network of the Roman roads throughout the empire. Now, this was made in the 13th century by a French monk on parchment scroll. And I was reminded by this map, by another map of the Nazca lines in Peru that lay out the the Nazca lines, which are ancient geoglyphs in the Nazca Desert. That seen from above, you can see a heron, a dog, and a condor. And this is a picture of Stratford, Pennsylvania, where the Illinois Pavilion now stands as the Stratford train station, near where my dad grew up. So the last thing I really want to mention is this woman, Susan Waters, who was an artist at the turn of the century, and who showed her work at the centennial celebration of 1876. Now, she was an animal rights activist, and she was married to a Quaker, and she finished her life in this house in Bordentown, New Jersey, on the site that Joseph Bonaparte had sort of seen the Jersey Devil.